Welcome to the CLG Podcast, and today we have a very special guest with me. We have in the room today Caddicarus, who is a really famous YouTuber and just a genuine funny guy. So, do you want to introduce yourself a little bit for the people that don't know you?
Okay, well, hi everyone. Thanks for inviting me on. First of all, not special. Second of all, not in the room. I'm in my house. So that's two incorrect things straight away.
Clickbaited.
Jokes aside though, yeah, my name's Jim. I go online as Caddicarus on YouTube and Twitch whenever I'm able to stream, which has not really been possible for the last over a year now, for various reasons. But yeah, I mostly do stuff on YouTube. Again, when I'm able to, which at the moment is two videos a year. But they're not like, it's not like, oh, you're getting two Let's Play videos a year. You're getting big old giant scripted, edited projects. It's more than just like when you said I was a YouTuber. When people ask me what I do, again, it's not about like I don't care what people categorize me as, but I don't say that. I just say I make things online. That's what I do because I don't fit that kind of mold that people would assume the other kind of traits that go with being a YouTuber or content creator or whatever else you want to say.
All right, so I got a few questions to ask you, and hopefully they
Yeah.
will inspire people and make their opportunities go wild. So the first one is, what inspired you to start a YouTube channel? Like, what was the feeling that you got when you wanted to make a YouTube
Hmm.
channel, and why did you want to make it?
I YouTube was kind of like that was just that just so happened to be what the thing I was going to use to as the platform. It wasn't necessarily getting into YouTube and more about I know what I like doing. I would like to do something in film and TV, and this gives me YouTube as a career. You start seeing people like I mean, when I started, it was 2011, so I would have been yes 17 at the time, and yeah, you see everybody else at the time kind of doing their own thing and making, careers out of it. And then you're thinking, they're making careers out of making what they want. I want to make what I want, but there's, film and TV is difficult. YouTube, I'm sure, is also difficult, but at least I have full control and I can just do literally whatever I want. And then I just started making things, trying to make people laugh. That wasn't always the intent from moment one, even though my first videos from late 2011 to mid 2012 are. It's not even cringe. It's embarrassing. It's just embarrassing. Like it's full on pure distillation of embarrassment.
I know that
Like
feeling.
if anybody was going to get picked on at school, then those videos prove that it was me. Like that's all I'll say. But yeah, you start somewhere, you develop the ideas, you get better at the editing. I did A level media studies, and that's where I started dabbling with video editing and all that kind of thing. And I just thought I like doing effects. I like filming things, cutting it together. And I remember so much this the first time because we were using Movie Maker at school, Windows Movie Maker, and
Oh yeah.
it's trash. And so like it was very restrictive, but that kind of meant everybody was on the same playing field, which is fine for, school and everything. But when I first tried at the time Sony Vegas, it's not Sony anymore, it's Magix Vegas, but it
Oh.
was Sony Vegas at the time. And I remember the first time I started like on my dinky little HP Pavilion, I started messing around with my totally legal copy. I started like doing the like very basic things, but stuff that Windows Movie Maker wasn't massively capable of. Stuff like I've got a bit of filmed bit here with audio and video. I can detach them and then have the audio going on, and then I can put another video. So then I started going, oh, I've got a conversation between two people. I've got one audio track. I can cut in between the videos without ruining the audio. And I can make it so that you open a door and then you can cut to another shot from another angle of the door being opened. But I'm in the middle of saying a sentence and that doesn't get ruined because I can ungroup the audio. And that was when I was like, yeah, I just want to keep trying to do this as long as I can and see if I can make a career out of it. And I got really lucky and it worked.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like you said, like the first videos I made were just truly embarrassing. I mean, I didn't even start on Windows Movie Maker. I started on iMovie from my tablet, and what I
Oh
would
wow.
do is I would put my tablet on a little table and film my TV, and I would just play like Fortnite or whatever. And yeah, I didn't really have anything to say, so it just ended up being just me just playing Fortnite for like half an hour. It was humble
Hmm.
beginnings, but
Yeah.
it's yeah, you got to start somewhere, like you say.
Yeah, absolutely. And the more you do it, the more like you like it's I guess it's just you have to kind of come to terms with that you are going to embarrass yourself and you are going to make mistakes. You're not going to be a master the second you begin.
No,
Like no, I'd be hard pressed to find anybody now, even for like as for finding someone else that has done it as long as I've done it, particularly, who would even still say that they've mastered it. It just no, we're doing what we've always been doing. We're just naturally better at it.
yeah,
That's how I see it anyway.
you're just growing up in the ranks, basically.
Mm.
So I know you changed your content quite a big amount for these past few years. So I just want to
Yeah.
ask, like, what made you change your content to like small little reviews that are like not even 20 minutes long to like full feature length movies? Because
Um,
it was quite a big change.
because they were terrible. That's why. And people argue with me about this. The audience argue with me about this, and they have the right to, and they can tell me I'm wrong. But the truth of the matter is, and that this is the other thing as well. I also have to acknowledge that a lot of my initial growth and spikes and everything were directly as a result of those videos. So I'm not bashing myself as much or like bashing people who enjoyed what I was doing and it's not there's no greater thing to say about it, but what I am going to say is that my intent, my approach of making things online started in the way that it as I described 2011 making whatever, and then I hit my initial peak of virality, if you even want to call it that, in 2014. And that was when I was able to start generating enough money where I could do it full time. And as soon as that began happening, very slowly, that initial point of why I was doing what I was doing, i.e., doing what I wanted and trying to entertain and get my what I think is funny out into in an expressive way above all, that vanished like towards the end of the 2010s. It just did. And I again, people argue with me, but I'm telling everybody as the person that made them and wrote them and remembers where my head was, I was doing it for algorithm shit. I wasn't doing it because of like respect for the audience's time. I wasn't doing it for any other reason than this is my job now. And that just led to compromised, rushed, you know, not unfinished, but like looking back, yeah, borderline unfinished stuff. And I just got lucky, I suppose, that people still hung on, I suppose.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting because I started watching your channel when you were near the end of making these videos, like the short little reviews. I think the first video I saw of you when you were is when you were reviewing like a DS game and you just hated it to bits. But I could see there was a love and care put into it, but you gotta follow your gut and think what's good for you. And I think um, the videos that you make now are just incredible. Like I get so excited every time you say I'm making a new video, and yeah,
Oh, I
it's really
appreciate
good
it.
that
Thank you.
yes, thank yeah, it's all good. But what was I about to say? Yeah, it's really good that you just followed your gut basically because and not so much people just don't do that. They just do what the audience likes, and sometimes I just feel so hostage about it. And
Yeah, no, I don't think the thing is I never I mean, that's a good word. I wouldn't use personally. Maybe I would, I'm not sure, but it was all
mm,
self-inflicted. That's the point. It's
oh
not
yeah,
the
fair enough.
audience's fault, you know. And
Yeah.
it's like for me it was like specifically changing the style of what I was doing. When I was doing what people would call the reviews, that's what they were. And by definition, even if you want to throw gags in there, what a review is supposed to do is supposed to give people with criticisms an idea of the experience that they're going to have if they play it, watch it, whatever. Giving recommendations, calling things out, yeah, criticisms, and you can mix that in with funny. And lots of people have done that over the years, and people have, again, they will argue with me that I did that fine, and that I'm not going to say they're incorrect, but I am going to say that I was doing it not because I wanted to, and that is important because regardless of people finding that the older stuff funny, if they are reviews by definition or reviews by definition, or that was how they were written and they were meant to be criticisms of the thing mixed in with funny. Because I was going into it with bad faith in the first place, i.e., I want to try and get my serious thoughts out, but also mix it with funny. But I also didn't want to really do it because I thought I had to do it because it was my job, and I figured what was working, and then I just kind of lost myself. So by the end of the 2010s, the reviews, when they started becoming about the newer stuff at the time, so like there was a new Star Wars game that was like Dark Souls with a lightsaber, and I can't remember what that was called. And then there was Luigi's Mansion 3. And the problem is that those are new games. People are probably interested in what I think, maybe, but because I wasn't wanting to necessarily review, then any criticisms I have kind of fall flat anyway, because it's not coming from a genuine place of I want to inform. All I want to do is do dumb bullshit online and make people laugh. That's how it began. The overly angry performative reviewer thing was a thing of its time. It worked until about 2014 for me, and then I started thinking, no, I've kind of grown past this, but then I felt like I had to kind of keep it going. So yeah, like I said, compromise the rest of everything, in terms of how they were made and how quick they were made, and it also compromised the entire point, which is, if you want to take any kind of weight with my opinions in a review context, I wasn't doing it with the care that a review needs to have, because it's almost like it's like a public service, and I wasn't doing that, but I was kind of masking everything, and it was just a mess. It was just a mess. So if anybody holds opinions of mine about certain games from back in the day in certain kinds of videos, all I can say is I wrote those reviews not with the intent of actually reviewing it and giving you an actual serious opinion. And then when that message is then left for the audience to deal with, it's almost like, well, I just said a load of nonsense and I don't know what I'm talking about, and you're taking it as though I do know what I'm talking about, and I'm telling you that that's not how I wrote them, and I don't want to review, so why am I reviewing? You should be listening to people that want to review because they want to inform you, and I don't want to inform, I want to entertain. I don't know if this makes any sense, but yeah.
Yeah, I get what you mean with the like review aspect and everything. So we've got to talk about the elephant in the room, Jim. Spons. What is he?
Oh,
what is Spons?
He's a kite.
Yeah, but like, how did you think of Spons? How did you begin?
So Spons actually began as just my head with a bit of paper around. I think it was on my head or it was on my neck, but it was that was what Spons was. It was just my head getting in the way of everything and being annoying. And yeah, Spons. It's the first half of sponsorship, yeah. And I was starting to get sick of, if you're creating something, I mean, it doesn't apply to everybody. It depends on the kinds of videos people do. It depends on, it depends on a lot of things. But in general, if you're being paid what I know some brands are capable of being paid to make us to be sponsored by something, to do whatever. If you've got a style, if you're creating something, I don't know why you wouldn't want to try and work it into what you do normally, because that's almost weirdly how it used to be done in sitcoms, like way back when, where it's like, we're gonna work out in this episode of friends that there's Coca-Cola in it, so we'll have the friends drinking Coca-Cola. Yeah, it's a bit blatant, but the point is that they've tried to integrate it. And obviously the sponsor segments I do now, they're not integrated necessarily, but I was like, if I'm going to do these, I want to be able to have fun doing them. I want to be able to work with companies that are okay with the dumb, horrible ideas I have. And I want to be able to let them know that if they don't let me do these things, then people aren't going to care about them or their product. And the people that chicken out of that, I'm just going to say chicken out. Yeah, like that's clearly we're not compatible. But I was just getting sick of just seeing the amount of people that were like, this video has been sponsored by, and then they just read. And then it's like,
Yeah.
I'm skipping that. And I would, if I, but again, it depends. If you're a Let's Player, if you're someone that uploads every day, if you're a podcast, you can't do that, and you shouldn't need to do that. You can just read the sponsor. That's totally fine. But it was when it was like, oh yeah, you're creating something, you're trying to be creative and unique and whatever, and you're just gonna read it, and I just don't get it. I just so I was like, no, I want to be able to do this in my own way, and I want to be able to make it so that people feel as though they can actually watch it as a separate skit, and that they could actually, you're asking me about it right now. I don't know how many other people get asked about the mascot for their sponsors. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
So it's clearly struck a chord.
Yeah, I mean, it's just because it's just genius sponsors. Like, I
Dude,
think
well, that's really kind of you.
because most
I will say
sponsors.
this. Oh, sorry, yeah, you go on.
Sorry. But like you said, with most people, they just read their sponsors. But a sponsor's a unique specimen. He does it in his own little way. I remember when in one of your videos, like a sponsor was in bed just dying, and yeah, you put like a voice on him, like a sick voice, and
Yeah, I remember that one.
You put him in like a hospital bed and everything. It's just that type of uniqueness that make the people stay with the sponsors, and I just love it.
I think the other thing with it as well. Thank you, by the way. The thing that I like, I guess I would say about it is that like the whole joke is that his name is half of the word. And a lot of the scripting, and a lot, because if you're going to read a sponsor anyway, it's very obvious that you're reading talking points. That's what you're being paid to do. So it's like, well, if I'm going to be reading the talking points, then I'm going to go so hardcore on the idea that this is a sponsored segment. I'm literally going to have a character named Spons who is hyper capitalist and horrible and is soulless and emotionless and exists to generate sponsor money, because like it's just, you can't trick the audience into thinking like this is something that I'm not being paid to do. So you might as well just, like you described it, the elephant in the room. I'm doing that in my own way. The elephant in the room is, this is a sponsored segment and I am being paid to do this. So A, I'm going to try and make it worth your while, and B, I'm also going to point out the fact that I'm obviously being paid to do this, and just try and have fun with it. If you're asking about where the kite came from, I can actually give you, because like I said, it started as a floating head, and then I got the idea for the kite. There's a really old show. There's a friend of mine on YouTube called Brutal Moose, who's one of my best online friends, and yeah, he does fantastic work. Love him. Also somebody who does incredible sponsored segments, must say. And he was looking at this VHS series years ago of a little character, it was a Christian puppet character called Gerbert, and that at some point, I guess I was just like, I was watching a lot of Brutal Moose at the time, and it must have popped up in my recommended, but there was a clip from a Gerbert episode where he is like, he's wondering and imagining what it would be like to be a kite. And then like the camera zooms into him and he's looking to the sky, and then it fades into his dream, and the camera cuts and it's Gerbert's face with his hands and his feet like just as a kite. And it's like, it was the most horrific, hilarious thing I've ever seen, and it's so out of left field, and it doesn't even make sense in the context of the show. It's like, oh, I'm imagining what I would look like if I was a kite, and you'd imagine, oh, it's a kite and it's just the face. or it's a kite and it's a cartoon face. But no, it's like his whole body is merged into the kite. And I just thought that was really funny. So the idea for the kite did come from Gerber. I just kind of repurposed it as Spons the kite, and that made also the whole idea of him flying around and manically going all over the place. It makes sense in the videos. It makes sense on the screen when he's here, there, everywhere. You're not constrained to reality or physical areas. You don't need to go to the effort of filming bits and pieces in different ways. You can just film blank areas and then add the kite in later. And also, it's just, again, it's horrifying. It's absolutely horrifying, and I love it.
Can I just say as well, I just absolutely love your like comedic timing and just your comedy in general. Like the iToy video, for example, where you put your iToy up onto your TV that's like so thin that it doesn't even fit, and you say to like, oh, this isn't gonna be easy. This is the type of TVs where you could share a meal on. It's stuff like that just.
Oh, jeez, I remember doing that shot. Yeah, I know the one you're talking about, and that TV that we used, that was a 50 or 60 kilogram 32 inch Sony Trinitron from like 1992, 1993, and that thing it weighs the same as the house. And it was like, okay, Ollie's here, I want to get a shot of us using it as a coffee table, and we just had to drag that thing downstairs, put it down, and then get our spaghetti bolognese or whatever it was. Yeah, no, I remember doing that. It was good fun.
It does seem like you have a lot of fun making your videos nowadays. I can see it. Like I remember when you started making the like full features. I absolutely love the full features. I think like they're really good. And I remember with your like a PlayStation 1 accessories video, and that like Wu-Tang controller that just looks ugly and looks really uncomfortable to hold. You just had a right laugh at it, and I love that kind of style.
Thank you. I think it actually that kind of links into the other thing I was kind of going into earlier, where it's almost like what I want people to take away, and this is how it started, and then it very quickly stopped being this, and that was when I started getting uncomfortable and realizing, hang on, am I actually doing what I should be or what I want to do, and am I doing it for the right reasons? But how it began and how I do it now is that you watch a video of mine, and if the takeaway is, oh my god, like, how could they have how could this company have insulted us by making something so terrible, and how could they have how could they have dared put this onto a disc, and how could they torture us like this, and blah. If that's the takeaway, I've failed the job that I want to do. And that's like, so when you're saying the Wu-Tang bit, like, obviously, like, I'll talk about how terrible the thing is, but like, most of it speaks for itself. So the joke is just that it exists, rather than I'm going to do a 15-minute video talking about why this is terrible and compare it to the other controllers that are good, and that's why objectively this is a bad control. No, you can see the problems. You can see it. The joke already speaks for itself. I don't need to review the controller. I just need to talk about it and let it exist on its own merits. And the most recent video I did, I've been really enjoying reading the feedback, because lots of people are kind of saying, wait, so did he like or dislike the game? And my answer is, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well. Did you like it or did you dislike it? Let's set over waters here.
Yeah. Yeah, did I like it? Did I not like it? Yep.
Okay, then fair enough.
That's the thing. Older me, I wouldn't have made the way I've made. It would have been just an overly critical, overly harsh. What were they thinking? Oh no, Nintendo, the billionaire corporation that doesn't like me and doesn't like anybody because it's a billionaire corporation. They made a thing that doesn't appeal to me, who isn't part of the billionaire corporation. At some point, you've got to be like, this is a bit redundant. And all I care about now it's got nothing to do with how good or bad the game is. It's got nothing to do with anything other than when I see a thing or see a collection of things, does it inspire? Does it light a spark for me to make something interesting in some way? And the whole impetus of the most recent video about Switch 2 Welcome Tour, I had no plans in my entire life. This is what I want people to understand. There's no prior me. It was always scheduled. It was always fan requested. It was always like I was just filling the gaps and not creating so much as I was doing what I was thinking people would enjoy me doing. And this one was like, no one is gonna know. It doesn't matter what the thing is, and it doesn't matter if it's good or bad. But the whole point of that video was, we were at the Switch 2 London event, me and my partner, and there was a table there that like there were all the Nintendo staff were there, and there was this table, and there were 4 TVs, and no one was going that direction. And I was like, I've got to go and see what this is all about. So I go and sit down, and that was when like this over enthusiastic, bless him, he was making that money that day, he was doing the job, enthusiastically over explaining to me what this game was and talking about how great it was to run all over the controller, and how amazing it is that you can find the stamps. And then he's like directing me towards the closest mini game that just so happened to be where I was, and that was Guess the Frame Rate. And as soon as I saw that, and then this guy over my shoulder is telling me how the game works and what the game is and what I have to do, I was just like, I am making it. This is the funniest thing I've ever seen. And yes, does that mean that the game is worth it? Does it mean that it should be free? It should be expensive? If it's objectively good, objectively bad? I don't care. I saw a thing that had potential, and I wanted to do something with that, because I've never seen another game like it. Does that mean I like it or dislike it? It's one of the funniest experiences and funniest times I've had while playing a game and making a thing about the game. But ultimately, does it matter if I found it good or bad, really? Because I got all the value I needed out of it.
Yeah.
You know?
It's all the experience, you know? And
yes.
Yeah,
yes. But that also, I think that comes with age a little bit as well. I think that comes with age. I think there's been a kind of period where it's like, instead of putting myself through something because people expect it, i.e., the Mario Galaxy movie was announced, and I saw the first one, and at the time I enjoyed it fine, and then I saw it again on TV like a year or so later, and I went, I don't like this. Why did I like this before? This isn't my thing. Wait, this is for children. Oh, okay, this isn't my thing. And older me, when Mario Galaxy movie came out, I would have been like, yeah, I'll go and see that in cinema, and that will make for good content. And it's like, actually, do you know something? I know I'm not gonna like it. Why did I do this? This is just boring, and I didn't want to, and I've wasted my time. And why have I wasted my time? You know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So, I want to talk to you about your recent TED Talk that you did a couple months ago. So, what inspired you to do the TED Talk, and also how was it on a stage in front of all these amazing people?
Well, the inspiration to do it was that I was invited. I wasn't seeking it. The opportunity landed in my lap. I won't go into the details about that, but it was basically a friend of a friend, a close friend of mine called Josh Strife Hayes, who's another YouTuber. He got me in contact with somebody who was looking for speakers, because Josh knew this person and knew that they were doing a Manchester TEDx thing, and Josh name dropped me as a potential candidate. And he was like, yeah, I hope you don't mind. I don't know if you've got a speech idea or if you ever thought that this would ever happen, but I just threw your name in. Are you interested? And I was like, well, yes. I haven't got a speech. I don't know what I'm going to talk about. I have no idea what's happening, but why would I say no? Of course I'm going to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that.
Yeah. And then, like, there was a kind of, I think there was a kind of like a video call / interview. I don't really want to call it, because it wasn't that formal, but it was just talking with the guy organizing the event and finding the speakers. And a guy called Simran, lovely guy, and he was
I know Simran.
Yeah, he was just there you go. Yeah, absolutely. We that's when we met on video call, and then he was explaining the situation and saying, so I'm trying to gather as many online content creators as possible so that they can talk about their different aspects and different industries and how they feel like online creativity does certain things and whatever. But the whole idea is that we have a group of online content creators. So if I was to say to you, you've got a place, what do you think you'd do a speech about? And then I said, okay, yeah, so you're looking for content creators. My speech would be fuck content.
And I did watch your TED talk, and I do understand, why
so
you
that
hate
was my
word
pitch.
so much.
That was my pitch, and I saw on the video call he smiled a bit and his eyebrow raised. I was like, I think I've got this. So he was like, yeah, explain further, and then I started explaining further of what I meant, and then I was like, you know something, the reason that idea came to my head isn't just because of what I've gone through in my own career, but because up to that moment, and it's still happening now, especially after the TEDx was done, I've had a few other people reach out to me about this kind of thing, and I've spoken to so many, I won't name names, but I've spoken to so many people, friends of mine or acquaintances of mine, in person, away from YouTube, in YouTube, whatever, and they all seem to have extremely similar concerns, extremely similar worries, extremely similar experiences that what I went through. And the problem is that like no one's talking about it and no one's really figuring out what may be the cause of the issue. And then I started thinking, well, I've been through my own journey. And because of my journey, I've been using this to try and help my friends who are struggling, and I don't want to see my friends struggle. I've been trying to help them. And then I started realizing I could probably do a speech about this, but how do I frame it? And the only thing I could really put it down to was that when I began making videos on YouTube, I was making videos on YouTube. Nowadays, people make content on YouTube. And the funniest thing is that if you ask somebody what's content, you're not going to get a good answer because content is a meaningless nothing word. It's stuff. And it's like the amount of times that like I've been witness to these kinds of conversations, like, whether it's in the distance where it's like, people in, you'll be at a convention or something, you'll be talking to organizers or whatever, and they'll be asking, what do you do for a living? And someone else will say, oh, I'm an online content creator. And then the next question is, oh, what kind of content? And I'm just here like, why don't we just cut the middleman? Get rid of content. You're already asking what kind of thing that they do. Because they asked them, what do you do? They said, I do a thing. And then the guy replies, oh, nice. What kind of thing do you do? So why are we using the word content? And I couldn't really give like an explanation or scientific reason to when people started using that word and why it became prevalent. But, the TEDx kind of goes over a lot of it. The original draft of the TEDx, I will say, was when I was reading it back, I had my flashcards on my computer and I was doing, I did maybe 3 or 4 test runs, speaking to nobody in this room. And every time I was timing myself, it was coming back at about half an hour. And then I was telling them like, hey, like this is what I've got so far. Is this all right? And then they were like, if this is over 17 and a half minutes, you're not getting a video up on the channel. I was like, oh, okay. Can't be half an hour. So then I had to cut like half of it. So many things I didn't want to cut out and I wanted to expand on. But one of those things, which I think is actually quite telling, I guess, is that
that's a good one.
like this is something that I sadly, because I couldn't fit it in anywhere in the flow in which I was talking. But there was one thing that I think is very telling, which is when people say they're a content creator. And again, just to be clear, if people call me it, I don't care. It's fine. It's a category. It's industry term. It's fine. I just think it's funny and I hate it and I want it to die. So there's a difference there. But so like, people want to call themselves that or they want to call me that. Sure, cool, whatever. But what I think is very telling is that when you have you have like a book or something, the book is the book. The contents are a description of what is in the book.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about a video game and people talk about how much content is in this video game, the video game isn't the content. The video game is the video game.
Yeah.
It's expanding on further questions about the thing that you're talking about, and it can apply to a million other things. But the interesting thing is that when people will just very, at this point it's just not commonplace and normal, and I don't blame anybody for doing it. I've done it myself. When they're like, yeah, look, I create content. what they're really saying, if you think about it, is if YouTube as a corporation were pitching to advertisers, they will say, this much content goes up on YouTube every day, right? That's what
Yeah.
YouTube would say to an investor. So if YouTube, the faceless, nameless platform that people put things on and make money off of, if they are describing everything underneath them as content, why are people then just going, oh, so I make content then? No, you don't. You are the content. You are content to YouTube. You don't make content. You make things. And
Yeah.
it's become such a silly umbrella term where then it's like, yeah, like, oh yeah, so people call themselves content creators and then they'll stream themselves watching two to 3 hour long videos and have 5 minute periods of eating cereal and not saying anything. That's content. That's a content creator.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, all of us as a collective in YouTube are YouTube's content, but we don't make content. And it's just interesting to me how that has become the catch-all term to describe what people make. Because then it's like, well, if YouTube are saying 20 million or was it 20 or 200? 200 million? 200 million, I think? Whatever it was, millions of videos go up a day. And then they say underneath on their own press site, that's a lot of content. It's like, yeah, it is. Why do you want to be a part of that? Why not just be like, if YouTube are describing you as stuff, as content, why are you proud to then say I make content? Because then I think that just kind of creates this tunnel vision of content must mean lots because YouTube are describing, look at how much content we got. Content means lots. So that means I have to make lots. And I'm able to make lots because it's content. And it's content because everyone's calling it content. I think it just creates a massive cycle of instability and misery. That's just my...
How is it speaking on a TEDx stage? I want to know, because as a public speaker myself...
Oh, wow. Wow. What have you done? Do you mind me asking?
Oh, wow. The first thing I did, I remember it like it was yesterday. I went to a place called Ideas Fest, which is like Glastonbury for entrepreneurs. That's how they say it. And it was my first time going there, and I did a little thing about, like, I'm an aspiring filmmaker and I'm currently doing this and that, and I hope to inspire you. And I was terrified because, one, it was my first public speak, and two, Will Poulter was there. So
oh wow.
So it was quite terrifying. But
yeah, that's quite big.
Yeah, it is quite. And but after I left that stage, I just felt really good about myself because people were like cheering down for me and everything, and now I'm an award winner, so it's a bit nuts.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll talk to you about all of that later on. But the last question I want to ask you before we end up is, so you're a gamer and like a film. I'll put yourself in as a filmmaker because you make feature length stuff.
If you'd like to, I won't.
Yeah,
I won't say no. I won't say no. But that's very kind of you. Thank you.
But so I just want to ask. This is how I end every podcast. So, what are your top 5 favorite films? Do you think, and games?
Oh man, yeah, I know.
That's the answer I always get.
Yeah, I know, and you gave me the question. I've been busy today, so I saw the questions. I skimmed through them. I was like, yeah, these are fine. But yeah, I haven't really had time to think about it.
That's absolutely fine.
Man, I couldn't narrow it down to like tops because I just.
Well, just what are your favorite?
I'll just fire some off. Okay, favorite films. We've got Old Boy, the original one, the Korean film. I've got With Nail and I, really, really dark, depressing, miserable, smuggy, miserable UK comedy from the 80s. Brilliant shit. We've got the original Alien.
Yes, I watched,
Aliens is great as well.
On Halloween.
Nice. Most recently, weirdly, people often go back in the past for this kind of stuff. I never look for what could be favorites or non-favorites,
Yeah.
but it ends up happening. Sometimes it surprises you. The Substance from last year, one of
Yes.
my favorite films now. Loved that film.
I still
Never
need to watch
been
that.
so surprised consistently in a film in my life. And like you watch something like Terrifier 3 and you're like, how many ways can someone be killed? And then you think of everything in your head and
Yeah.
you still can't come up with the stuff that they come up with. And that was kind of what The Substance was, but in a plot sense, in a metaphorical sense,
Yeah, I love
in
it.
a physical effect sense. Yeah, it was just I left a huge impact on me. Love that movie. Whiplash, the J.K. Simmons, the
That
drumming
is
movie.
one of my favorites. That
Well, then there
honestly,
you go. Oh God,
that film
there's
stresses me
yeah.
out, but in a good way.
I'm just trying to think of other ones, just throwing some out. Eraserhead, as Eraserhead's another favorite of mine.
Yeah, good
All
old
of
Lynch.
the Monty Pythons, and I mean all of them, including
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Black Sheep ones. So like people don't
Honestly, yeah.
often, yeah, they don't often say that Meaning of Life is in the same caliber. It's completely different, but I think they're all
Yeah.
just as good as each other.
Honestly, I'll say something to you now about will probably make you jealous because if you love Monty Python so much. So so charity shops, gotta love them.
Mhm.
And I remember going to one day and finding this like gigantorous, like it was massive. It looked like a rock, and it was this Monty Python set with all the flying circuses and all the films. £3.
Wow. Oh, good spot. Good spot.
You
Yeah.
bet I bought that. But yeah, I love Monty
Nice.
Python. It's just and Old Boy. I actually recently watched that because I'm getting into like foreign films and all that. Like I'm loving
Yeah.
Kurosawa at the minute,
Mhm.
and
Yeah, nice.
yeah. So what
Oh,
about favorite
I'm trying to think
games?
of a couple of other ones just before we
Yeah,
move on to the games. Just a couple of
yeah.
other ones because you've just
Oh
said
yeah.
foreign films. The Raid 2,
Oh my God,
specifically the Raid
yes.
2.
That is
Yeah.
on my top four letterbox. Like my dad
Oh,
introduced me to
really?
that, and I just
Oh,
love
yeah.
it. I love it. It's so good. The
Yeah.
Raid 2.
Good
Me
stuff.
and you are best friends now.
God, what else is there? There's weirdly enough, Babe, the talking animal
Oh
film from the
yeah, yeah.
90s.
I
Like,
love that film, but I'm
I
just
love that
surprised it's
movie.
rated you.
You're surprised with what?
I was just surprised it's rated you, like Universal or for children.
Like, yeah, I mean,
It's
it's
quite
got a
dark.
couple of dark bits, I suppose. It's
Yeah,
not massively difficult, but yeah, like, yeah, no, yeah, those are the ones that are immediately springing to my head. So yeah,
a good choice on films like The Raid 2.
thank you.
Honestly, yes. I need
The
to watch
Raid
that
2 is one
again.
of those kinds of films where, like, if you want to get into action sequence, like stuff like that, and John Wick have like made it so that if I'm watching Marvel or whatever, I'm like watching a fight scene and I'm like, this could be so much better.
And The
And that's
Raid 2 just
unfair
said
because
that.
it's not even the same thing. It's not even the same thing, but it just changes your perspective on how fight scenes are done and how choreography is done. You get so far into it where you're just like, this doesn't do it for me anymore, you know?
Yeah. All right. So yeah, favorite games. Like, I'm quite intrigued because
Uh,
your game
I'm
collection is massive.
yeah. I mean the obvious one, no, Crash Insane Trilogy. I mean that's an obvious one,
Oh
but I
yeah,
would
I
say
think you
that
like Crash Bandicoot just a little bit.
tiny bit.
Yeah, yeah.
But that would be yeah. But so that would be up there at least. What else would be up there? Bloodborne is well, Bloodborne's back there. That's one of
Oh yeah, yeah.
my
Bloodborne. Yeah.
sound my sound reduction muffling panels. So that's actually that's not just artwork. That's actually an acoustic panel, and these
Oh
two
really?
are as
Wow.
well. So these are acoustic. The Soulstorm ones. So yeah, that's another thing. Oddworld. Lorne Lanning would hate me for saying this, but Abe's Exodus is one of my favorites. And oh, what else? Yeah, Sekiro. Sekiro is one of my favorite games
Oh yeah.
ever. I love that game. Oh geez, yeah. But then but then there's indie games, and then there's like there's Cuphead, and then there's Celeste, and then there's
Cuphead. Yeah.
oh,
Yeah, that.
there's
Yeah.
so many. There's so many, and like oh man.
Really making you think today, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Red Dead Redemption 2's got to be on your list, surely.
nah.
No.
Great. No, no. It's
Oh,
great, but no. Yeah, no. And this again,
yeah.
it's funny. Like, are you surprised at that because of how I talked about it in a video one time?
Yeah, because you basically just like you loved
this
it.
is exactly this is exactly
Yeah,
kind of the point where it's like,
yeah,
yeah, no, I really did love Red Dead 2, but then you start limiting yourself and funneling yourself with
yeah,
some score out of 10, and then you talk positively, and if you can't think of the negatives to balance it out, people assume you feel a certain way, and it's like, no, I'm not saying that Red Dead 2 is bad, and I still think it's as good as I thought it was back then, but I will say, have I got any interest to go back into it again? No, and that's fine.
yeah. No, no,
But
that's absolutely fine. Yeah,
you know, so yeah, so I can't call it one of my favorites. But then does
it's
that mean
definitely
that
one of mine.
replayability means favorite? No, it doesn't. Untitled Goose Game is one of my favorite games ever made,
Oh
ever.
yeah, that,
I
that
love
is.
it.
I will say that is a good game. I agree with you on that.
Well, see,
I've been
that's the
watching
thing, though.
YouTube videos when it
That's the
released.
problem. Is that is it a good game? No idea. I don't care. It's great. I love it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just loads of stuff like that. Enter the Gungeon, another one of my favorites.
I don't
Um,
think I ever heard of that one.
Hades 2 is quickly becoming one of my favorites.
Yeah,
The
I've been
most
hearing
yeah,
a
because that
lot of like positive feedback on that.
Yeah, Hollow Knight. I haven't played much of Silk Song yet, but Hollow Knight's definitely up there. And those are just
Yeah,
the indie stuff. That's just the indie stuff. Yeah, there's so many. And then there's like all the PS1 stuff as well. Like I'm just looking at my shelf right now. What have we got? Yeah, Spyro 3 definitely up there.
yeah. I love the
God, what
original.
else? There's just yeah. I remember spending hours and hours and hours on Gran Turismo 4 when I was younger. That's a great game.
Yeah, I do like the Gran Turismo games.
There's just yeah that you I could go you could just go on and on and on and on and on. So to stop myself from doing that,
Yeah.
I shan't just to stop myself from doing it.
Okay. Well, thank you, Caddy, for being on this podcast today. It's a real honor. And
Well, thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
oh, you're more than welcome. And everyone go subscribe to Caddicarus if you're not. If you're not subscribed, what are you doing? Yeah, he's genuinely great. And
If you're not subscribed, I mean, he says that. I say, do whatever you want. I don't care. It's fine.
fair enough. Um, but yeah, thank you everyone for watching this video, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.